Hello everyone, how are you? Today is Bank Holiday Monday here in the UK. I think it's the 26th of August. And I just wanted to come on quickly and just go through a little bit about mediumship. How I came to mediumship, what mediumship is, because I know there's a lot of fear around mediumship and a lot of religious restriction, I think, around mediumship. Maybe that's just my understanding, but maybe if I tell you kind of how I came to it, it might help you understand it a little bit more. So I basically had no real time for mediums. I didn't think that much of mediumship, wasn't interested in mediumship. I still don't know a great deal about mediumship or mediums. Sometimes when I get together in spiritual groups, people can be mentioning, oh, this famous medium and that famous medium, and you know, they changed so much, and they did so much work, etc., etc. And it's kind of new to me, because for me it wasn't something I went to learn. It came to me first, and then I had to go and do a bit of training. Back in the day, in 1998, is where I started my complementary therapy degree. Prior to that, I was developing a great interest. I was doing a lot of creative stuff, but it was kind of developing a great interest in healing, in the healing arts. I was reading a lot about herbs, reading a lot about nutrition, reading a lot about back remedies, acupuncture, all these different things. It was the time when Celestine prophecy was going around. Lots of people were tuning into this aspect of this different consciousness, different energy on the planet, and it was really down my street, and I was so interested, and I had collecting books on herbs and nutrition and support the body in a healing way. Then I went on to do my complementary therapy degree, which was a Bachelor of Science, so 3 years. The main subject being aromatherapy as a health professional. So rather than it just being aromatherapy, you know, for massage, or aromatherapy for, you know, something to smell nice or make little products, it was proper health. These are oils which are potent, concentrated medicinal oils, and you can use them to help the body and to heal. I don't do so much of that now, because I've gone much more into the energy side of things, but I still like the olfaction, which is where you smell the oil and it goes straight up into the brain, to the limbic system, the olfactory bulb. And that's why, you know, you get memories from smells, and it can be very healing and very psychologically healing and very spiritually healing when you smell the scent. That was always kind of my preference, because it's much more energetic. I then I was reading a lot of different books, and one book which I've got out here really just kind of blew my mind, and it was so part of, I have to get that other little thing as well. Let me just get it now. Okay, sorry about that. So this was one of the big books that I read at one time. It's Light Emerging by Barbara Ann Brennan. And this then kind of became a Bible to me. And it was only when I went back years later, when Facebook and that sort of thing began, and I was looking for some quotes to use, and I thought, right, what quotes am I going to use? And I found so many references and so many explanations and so much information here with regards to Tai Chi and Qigong. And at that point I was already doing Tai Chi and Qigong, and there's loads of channelings in here as well, and just, you know, pictures of the energy body and the chakras going up, and how people relate to each other, the energy that is how it moves between people as well, you know, depending on their energy, their stances, how they feel, how they express themselves. This is quite a nice one as well, the energy of love. So this was a great book. So this became a real book, and when I returned to it, I just went, oh my God, there's so many references that I'm now doing as part of this book. And I used to, you know, there was a lot of Tai Chi, Qigong, that type of thing, and then I did Tai Chi many years later. But even before I did Tai Chi, I had this book, which is Qigong. And I was reading this, and this is before Facebook, so there was nothing distracting me. I did a lot of reading. I have lots and lots and lots of books. And this was in 1999. So this was when I was doing my complementary therapy degree. And there's lots of sort of little exercises. And I thought to myself when I was reading this book, everybody should be doing Qigong. Qigong helps heal, particularly cancers and things like that. There's sections in the book with exercises to do. And then years later, 10 years later, I did my first Tai Chi Qigong class. So it's just, you know, there's just so much information. And then when I went back to read this book, so much of it made sense to me. I remember I worked after doing my degree, I worked in a spa and for a short time, and one of the members of staff there had a really bad back. And I had felt this urge to heal. I'd done lots of treatments, been doing lots of treatment, but just this inner urge to give healing to people. And she said, would I give her a treatment? So I did a massage on her back, and I asked her, do you want me to send in healing? She said yes. So I put my hands on her back and sent in healing. And later that day I said, how are you feeling? And she goes, yeah, pretty much the same. I said, okay. And then I said, give it a couple of days. And then a couple of days she came back to me and she goes, what did you do to my back? Because it's gone. I've had that pain for da-da-da-da-da, and the pain is now gone. And I was going, well, I just kind of sent in healing. And it kind of blew their mind a little bit, and I didn't quite understand it fully myself, but I knew that there was this need to pass energy healing through me. And I remember always saying to my mum when I was young, you know, I'm sure I'm not a healer, because my granddad was a healer. And I remember I got as a gift once, I got a little necklace, and I now use it for pendulum healing if ever I'm doing pendulum healing. And it has a little the Ogum, is it the Ogum they call it? The Ogum? It's the old Irish language, and this is for the ash, and the ash is the healer. It's referenced as a healer. So this is the pendulum I use if I'm doing pendulum healing. It's different to pendulum I would use for anything else. This is specifically for pendulum healing. So, you know, I got that. I was given that as a gift. And, you know, my grandfather was a healer, and there are other quiet healers in my family as well. And that had become such a desire for me to use it. I remember asking one of my mentors, who was a Tai Chi master, you know, I just have this desire to heal. What am I going to do? How am I going to get this healing out there? And he said, just do it. I said, what about call it? And he goes, call it whatever you want. Call it Tai Chi healing. Call it whatever. And it kind of just gave me a little bit of a window of space to do something. And I'm telling all you this because you'll see in a minute. So I asked for some volunteers, and I did a distance healing on a few volunteers, and I didn't charge them. All I asked them for was a little bit of feedback. I would, you know, tell them how it was for me, and then they would feed back to me and tell me if it made any sense. But what I found was when I was sitting and actively really focusing and doing these distance healings for these people, I was very aware of spiritual people coming into the space. Now, this has happened before when I had my hands on people doing massage and treatments and just sending a little bit of healing at the end. I would be aware there's someone on the other side doing the same thing, but nobody's there, but I was sensing someone was there. So when I was in this deep focused state, because I'd been doing a lot of meditation for a long time, I'd been doing a lot of my own personal work. And it enabled me to have that intense focus, and enabled me, because I've been working on my psychic senses, I've been working on my self, I had been opening up to this other energy. You know, Tai Chi, Qigong refines your energy. I'd be doing class, and I'd be seeing and hearing things all through class, and I'd come out of there and I'd be seeing things. It was just, yeah, it affected me differently than maybe it affected most people. Most people go in and do martial. I was getting a whole different kind of thing out of it as well, which was sort of a cool, very satisfying and exploratory experience through Tai Chi and Qigong. But when I was doing the healings for people, these people would walk into the space, and I go, okay, I can see that you're here. I'm not sure why you're here, who you are. I'll make a note of you, but this person has come for healing. They haven't come for mediumship. I am not a medium. So I'm going to take a note of what you're dressed like, what you look like. You know, if I'm getting it, sometimes they bring you cigarette smoke or something like that. I would take a little note of the basis of who they were, and then I said, please step back. Because I wasn't a medium. I didn't know anything about mediumship, and I just thought, they're here for healing. Let me just get on with the healing and stop interrupting. So that happened again and again and again. And what happened was I would send a message to this person that I'd sent healing to, and they would report back and say, oh, I know who that was. That was my father. I know who that was. That was my friend who died when they were young. I know who that was. That was my brother. That was my uncle. That was my grandparent. That was my dad. And there was all these responses, and it was like, oh my goodness. And I just had the sense sometimes that people were coming in, and you know, they might have been showing me a few different things. And it wasn't until I did my mediumship study, because it was happening so much, and when I reported this to people and they confirmed it by getting back to me, they were also very interested in what these people had to say. And I didn't know, because I didn't engage in conversation. I simply just went, okay, I see that you're here. I'm going to take a note of you, and I step back. And it's possibly because I was in that deep focus place. It's possibly because I was in that energetic world, using the energy. I once did a mediumship session for a lady, and her sister came in, and it was so strong to me. Like, it was so strong. The energy was palpable. It was so strong, and I was so amazed that she couldn't feel it. I said, can you feel that? And she's going like, no. And I went, oh my God, it's so intense. So I have this real sensitivity to that that energy, that world, that frequency, that vibration, whatever you want to call that. I pick it up, and it comes in as information. It comes in as words, as visions, as senses. You know, I see, I hear, I feel, I taste, I smell, I sense, I know. So there came a point then when I got the opportunity to study mediumship, and I decided to study because people wanted to know what their family members, their friends had come in for. And I wasn't a medium. I had said this, I wrote this on emails, I am not a medium, but this person was here for you. I was very adamant I was not a medium. I didn't really see the point in mediumship. I didn't know why people would go to mediums, because maybe I had such a connection to the other side. I kind of thought, well, why is it necessary? You know, why don't we all just open up to this connection? Like, why would we need to go through somebody else? So anyway, I there was an opportunity to study with a lady. I did a 6-week introduction into mediumship with this lady, and it was amazing. She taught me how to ground and open up my energy and really protect my energy and create that sacred space. And then she just had me bringing people in and describing and discussing what was happening. I did many journeys and had many different experiences, visual meditation experiences, where I'd bring back information. And then we decided she was going to carry on after the introduction if we wanted to. There was a few other people in the group, and I carried on myself. So we worked together for about 9 months, and then she said, you're fully fledged, you can go out there and do that. Now, for me, it really is about a healing space. It really is about, sometimes I'm amazed it works. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, like, I can't believe I'm seeing this stuff. And, you know, because every time you start a mediumship session, you're going, is this going to work? What if it doesn't work? What if I can't bring somebody through? What if they don't give me the information? What if I don't understand it? But I've learned that my job is not to understand it. My job is not to figure it out. My job is simply to say what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling, what I'm hearing, because the person, it will mean something to them. It's not for me to figure out what it means. And so I have to keep reminding myself of that. It's just to translate the information and give it to you. So if you ever have any concerns about connecting with past loved ones, it is fine to do that. You will know 1,001 people who've said, oh, I knew my mum was there. Or, yeah, I felt their energy. I felt they were around that day. You know, even people who winning competitions, and the parent may have passed, and they said, no, dad was with me. Or, you know, someone's getting married and you go, yeah, mum couldn't be here today, but I know she's here in spirit. People have all kinds of experiences. People see their loved ones after they've passed. They have these experiences. They're just not really talked about. They're just not. And I guess can now sit in a space, create a space, and see who wants to come in and to offer some information that may be of comfort to somebody. And it seems to be that it is of comfort to some people. It is healing to some people in the sense that it allows them to let go a little. It allows them to cry a little. It allows them to grieve a little, but feel okay knowing a little bit more about where they are now. And I understand that there is this negative viewpoint of sort of calling in the dead and speaking to the dead, and, you know, I see dead people and that kind of thing. Well, first of all, they're not dead, because there's no death. People don't die. They shift. They shift and they transition and they transform and they return to their home. They return to their truth. They return to what they truly are after their stint here on earth. And you know, if you look at religions who have a negative aspect on this, you know, often people who grow up in a religion have all of these saints and all of these prophets and all of these holy people who no longer are on the earth, but everyone prays to them, everyone talks to them, everyone asks them for favors, everyone asks them to fix their problems. So most religious people are calling out to something which is not human, calling out to something which is in another dimension, calling out and drawing to them this energy that is from a different space and time. So it's not different, but it's how it's classified. It's, you know, it's within this boundary it's okay, but within that boundary it's not okay. Whereas I don't see that as truth. I see that it is one and the same. And when you get to the other realms, it is very different. So the human programming of how things sit, and the hierarchy and etc., what you're able to do and what you're not able to do, and what you should do and you shouldn't do, and that's all very human based on programming, and it is not the higher consciousness. Maybe that's why I'm having this little moment here, because we are moving into different consciousness. We are moving and shifting very quickly now. September energy is probably going to shift people massively. It's going to bring in experiences. And many of you have had experiences, but you've not spoken of them. Many of you have had spiritual or energetic experiences, but you've not known what to do about them. You've kind of thought, was that my imagination? This happens when I do group work as well. People say, oh yeah, that happened to me once, and I remember this time. And, you know, when people come to healing classes, they suddenly start remembering all these psychic insights and psychic experiences that they've had. And it's to allow them to understand that that's natural. It's a natural phenomenon of the human to be able to do that. It is not... what do we want to say? It is not... I'm not getting, because I'm not actually channeling mode, I'm just chatting. It is okay, because if you recognize that your vessel, your human self, is like a radio that you can tune in. And when you're tuning into different frequencies, you get different information, you get connection to different elements. So you can connect to the loved ones who have passed. You can also connect to other realities. You can also connect to other dimensional beings because of this tuning in, because of this refining of energy, because of this openness, because when you're in that place of receiving, when you open your energy to receive, it allows the other frequencies. If you have been working on your energy body and you have been shifting your frequency, it allows the other energies which are on different frequencies to meet you. And so mediumship is like that. You have the higher energies, you have the human energies, and what the human does is they raise their frequency and the other energies lower their frequency. So you meet in the medium, you meet in the middle, That's the mediumship. So you're meeting in the medium so that you can have that communication. And so that communication is available to all types of energies. Mediumship with those loved ones who have passed is just one. A lot of mediums are now channeling off-planet beings as well, star beings, galactic beings, angelic beings, energy beings, light beings, planets themselves, because they're all frequency energy packages. So I just wanted to come on and just say that, you know, it's not something evil. It is not something detrimental. It is not something which is there in a dark devil work, anti-religious type way. It's actually very much natural to you, natural to humanity, natural to the environment. I had, you know, I kind of just thought, why would anyone need to go there? Why would anyone want to go there? But people do want to talk to their loved ones if they're not able to do that themselves. People do want confirmation that they're okay. And I can pretty much tell you that they are. And people do want that moment with them. And they're, you know, when I am doing mediumship, the person is in my living room. The person is beside me. I can see when they move around the room. I can see when they take a seat. I can see when they stand up. I can see when they're showing me all the different things. I get to meet your family, a member of your family. That is such a honor and a privilege, to meet a member of your family who is in the next realm. To be able to be someone who invites space, open space, creates space. And for them, because you're the one who's booked with me, for example, you know, there's almost, it's almost a precursor. So they want to speak to this person, and then I'm put in their way, because I'm the bit that will get the two of you together. So it's less about me. It's more about the healing that happens between two people. And yes, people can come in that, you know, there needs to be healing because something destructive may have happened. And we can do that at a level that you are ready to receive. And if someone comes in and you're not ready to receive that, we don't have to do that. You know, it's all about what is the healing for you. What is it that you need? So when you come to me, I don't ask who you want to talk to. I open the space and see who wants to come forward. And mostly it's positive. Mostly it's somebody that you want to speak to. Occasionally I'll get an energy of something which may feel heavier, and I'll express that and say there's an energy that's come in. It's a little bit heavy. I'm not sure if you want to go with this. So we'll do it as much as you feel the need to do it, because the healing journey is a journey. It's not a one-hit wonder. But I think I just wanted to come on here today and just talk a little bit about mediumship. The technicalities of it are that I ground my energy, I open up my chakras, I surround myself in a protective shell, and I use my number one guide, who worked with me all through my mediumship training. And when I'm not getting something clear, I can ask him to try and make it clear for me. Try and elevate my energy so I hear it a bit more. Try and make that connection. Try and deliver into my mind, because everything pops in. So try and deliver to me the senses, the images, the story, so I can speak it to somebody. I do have a few mediumship channel. Well, on my YouTube channel, I do a sacred symposium, which is usually channeling, but occasionally I'll go into mediumship and do a few mediumship sessions, because it just somebody's in the room and they want to speak. Interesting. And so, you know, if you want to just see how it runs there, that's kind of how it runs. I'm not very, I'm pretty casual about it. I try and keep it positive, light-hearted. I give the information that's coming through, in so much as, you know, you're happy to receive the information. And then we ask for a message, and they see what message wants to come through from them. And then we close the session and we say goodbye, and we let them go back to where they have been, what they've been working on, and then we return to our world and we return to our day to day and the things that we have to get on with. But it's created that little portal of healing. It's created that little portal of connection, and for some people that's all they need. They just need that reassurance that, you know, someone who's close to them is okay, that they're fine, that they're happy, that they're living, that to encourage them in some way to move forward in their lives, so whatever message might be for them to move forward in their life. And that's kind of how it runs. And just to remind you that we are more than our physical, all of us. And so what might be happening, as I was saying earlier, you might notice things. Sometimes people notice that shadowy thing and they think that someone's there and just screaming at them. A lot of people have that, and that's not unusual. So I think we have to be a bit more interested and open about the energies that are around us. And sometimes things like that happen. I'm getting now, just to awaken you, just to make you realize that, you know, you are tapping into something. Because if it's all easy breezy, you won't pay attention to it. So sometimes things have to be darker and a bit more shocking, and even life on the earth has to be a bit darker and a bit more shocking and traumatizing to shake you out of your routine, to shake you out of your programming, to shake you out of the norm that everybody just keeps going on and almost like lemmings over a cliff. It's time for that to shift, but often humanity won't shift unless they're absolutely shaken to their core. And once you're shaken to the core, suddenly this energy comes in and transforms. You know, when you have these traumatic experiences, a higher energy comes in and helps you transform. And it's working with that energy and refining your work with that energy that you start to open up to all these other energies. And it's not about being frightened of being opening up to these other energies either, because the veil is becoming thinner. So we are moving into living on a world where our experience of the world will be multidimensional. We will all be experiencing these different facets of life. And so it's almost kind of like getting you ready. So I just wanted to come on and just give you a little bit about mediumship, a little bit about how the information comes forward. I see, I hear, I taste, I smell, I feel, I know. It's downloaded into me and I express it in the hopes that it makes sense to you. I don't go and pull someone from where they are. I usually allow someone to step forward. If there is somebody that we haven't met that you've wanted to connect with, there is time for that. Usually I'll say, okay, is there anybody else who didn't come forward? And then we can wait and see if they're ready to step forward. And usually a few people will come forward for you as well. But it's a very honouring thing. It is a very privileged thing. It is a very sacred thing. Can you imagine like having the opportunity to sit with your loved one again? To be in the space with them and communicate. They can hear what you're saying. They know what's going on in your life. They're able to give you stuff that is today, tomorrow, stuff that is recent. There is no disconnection with energy. It continues, and it is always, everything is connected. And it's not something, I'm trying to get across that it's not something dark, and it's not something that you shouldn't be getting involved in. Only if it interests you. But just changing the mindset, I think, is why I'm doing this. It isn't even about like, oh, it's time to have a mediumship session. It's not. But what we need is for you to start to elevate your mindset on what it is and shift that programming to understand it's a natural phenomenon. You're an energetic being that exists in this skin suit. And it makes perfect sense that you're able to energetically be with other energetic beings in skin suits, but also without skin suits, but also with skin suits that you haven't seen before, with other dimensional skin suits. And that'll be coming on board too. But just to say that it's a natural ability, it is it's super interesting. It surprises me every single time. I always think I'm going in going, I get very nervous. What if I'm not able to bring something that makes sense to you? What if this person is reluctant to come forward and is not really ready to speak? How am I going to manage that? You know, it's always a concern for me, because you're coming with all this anticipation, and I try and say it at the beginning of the set out. Be prepared for someone to come through, be prepared for nothing to come through. You know, I have to see what I can tap into. Usually, till date, it's always worked, and I am very thankful to the guides for helping me, and very thankful for the spirits to be able to work with my energy to make that happen. But I just wanted to come on and give you a little insight into how mediumship came about for me. It is not something I wanted to do. It is not something I had on my radar. It is not something I thought, oh, I'm going to become a medium. It literally happened, and because it kept happening, and because people were very interested in what their loved ones who had passed over had to say, and I didn't have the answer. I didn't know, like, how should I communicate? How should I do this? I remember when I went to this class, one of the first classes, I said, these people keep coming in and I don't know what to do with them. And she goes, are you talking to them? And I said, no. And she goes, okay. And so it was just, how are you going to learn how to communicate? So very simple, but to do it in a protected space, to do it under the guidance of a very experienced medium, helped me develop, and I guess do it my way. You know, I'm not a part of an official medium society. I'm not doing it in some old-fashioned stuffy way. You know, I'll pretty much show up and what happens happens, and it can be like a reading. You know, you can be getting information, but I wanted to say that you know, it's not something that, oh, that's a career I could go into because I'm into the esoteric. It was literally, they were coming to me, and it was time for me to open my energy that little bit more, to accept what this is, because it's pretty big, and there's a huge responsibility on your shoulders when you open up and you decide to take this into the world, and to say to someone, you know, this is part of what I do, and for them to come to you, because a lot of people come and they're hurting, they're grieving, they're coming because they want that communication, they want that little bit of confidence and confirmation that everything is okay. A lot of people who've lost children wonder, you know, about their happiness. Are they happy? Are they okay? How could they be happy? You know, and there's this lack of understanding of the other side. And so I think that's coming. I think there's going to be this opening up to the other world, opening up to the other side. And if I can help by putting out channeling, by putting out mediumship, so you can see it's not scary. Things, don't get me wrong, some experiences can be big, can be, and this is like for me, this wouldn't be for you if you're coming to mediumship. This can be in your development. You're often tested, and you're tested by big energy, and some people drop out and they can't get past that. So certainly there are experiences that are unusual, I'm going to say, but it is so you can refine your ability. It is so you can manage the energy. It is so you can stand in your confidence knowing you can handle whatever is coming through. And you have to be able to do that. So that's why a great deal of training is on your personal training, is on your meditations, is on working with your team. Tai Chi, Qigong, that type of martial art where you define your energy, you learn about your energy. I was, working with people, and we had to, send energy into a person and connect with their ankle. I was able to see their entire body the whole way down. So it's like you suddenly are opening faculties that are unused and asleep. And so because this is this awakening of these extra sensory gifts that we all have, but it takes time and effort and refinement and training and diligence and discernment. Because if you're doing the work, you have a massive responsibility for bringing that energy into the space, for managing that energy, and for closing and sending off the energy and closing the space, in order that you and that person who's come to see you are in the right energy to move back into the real world. I hope that hasn't scared you. I hope that has sort of hinted a little bit of what mediumship is. I can't believe I've talked for 36 minutes on this already, but I've been wanting to do a little bit on that, and today it just felt like the right thing to do. I'm going to go down. I'm going to go now and do art. I have painting to do. It's Bank Holiday Monday, and I'm going to spend the rest of the day painting, which for me is beautiful because I love to paint, but also I shift into alpha and I get the information pouring in all the time. So I'm going to upload this. If you have any questions on mediumship, throw them at me, because I'm not sure if I've answered questions you might have. And the idea was that I just share a little bit of how I ended up doing it, because people were coming in, and what it is to do it, and not to be frightened of it, because it's a natural sense. It is natural faculties within your being that we all have. You have just been shut off from it. You have been programmed away from it. And it's empowering to reconnect to that. You'll have all had some little moment in time where you thought someone was with you, or you spoke to somebody who had this experience. It's not unusual. Even in the hospice, people pass all the time, and they have all these experiences before they pass. And mostly these hospice scenarios are because people are there with them, they're recording it, they're see their family come in and out. That's not unusual. And so these experiences, you do need to be kind of alter your consciousness, but that's what energy management teaches you. So there you go. I hope that's helped. A little bit about mediumship. I try and keep it light. I try and keep it relative and relatable, and hopefully that's eased some concern if you always had this, because people are frightened to have it done as well, because they think it's against my religion or whatever. The fact that you pray to people who have passed long ago, is it that dissimilar? You are calling for someone who has been dead quite a while. That's my mind. That's how I reason it, because I'm kind of thinking, yeah, but surely if you're praying to a dead person, and you're communicating, and a lot of people think, God's talking to them and Jesus is talking to them. So where's the difference? Because Jesus does come in. Yeshua does come in. Anyway, I'll leave that there. Give you stuff to mull over, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.